Hello and welcome to C3STREAM Land. Today we are going to talk about multiplication using the base 10 blocks, but this will be a little bit different type of multiplication. In the last video I showed you how to multiply two numbers using base 10 blocks, and we took single digit and double digit numbers to explain how visually we can represent multiplication. And I hope you have tried out multiplication with different numbers like 3 or 4 digit numbers with the base 10 blocks that you have with you. Today I'm going to talk about how we can multiply two algebraic terms together. So we are going to, before we begin, we are going to do a small change in our understanding of blocks, rods and flats. Earlier I remember, if you remember, I explained to you the block is 1, each value of each block is 1, and the value of each rod is 10. Now for this video we are going to assume that this block is still 1. That means if I put 5 blocks together, the value will be 5. But for the rod, we are going to call each rod as x instead of 10. Why? Because we are going to assume that the value of the rod is unspecified. This we are assuming in order to understand how two algebraic terms can be multiplied. And this flat, we are going to assume that the value of each flat is x square. Literally, if you say, we are not really making a significant difference. As you can see, if I multiply two rods together, each rod is value of 10. Then if I multiply them, 10 and 10, 10 times 10 is 100, and as you know, 100 is square of number 10. So I'm just replacing numbers with a variable x. So my rod is x and my flat is x square. Now let's see how we can form these two expressions together. So my first term is x plus 1. As you can see, each rod represents x, so I need just one rod, x. And plus 1 is a constant, and I represent that with block. So this is my one rod and one block forms x plus 1. Now here, my another term is x plus 3, which I'm going to form on the left side. So x is represented with one rod, and 3, which is a constant term, I can represent it with 3 blocks. Now let's see how we can multiply it and how we can form an equation with the answer that we get. Now as you know, we can simply multiply 2x together and we can get an x square. X times x is x square. X times 1 is x. If you do not know how this happens, pause the video and try to do it yourself on the paper and pencil. 1 times any number or any variable ends up with the number or variable itself. And I'm going to follow the same process for 3 blocks, which I'm going to multiply with this rod over here. So 1 times x is x. 1 times x is x. And 1 times x is x. Now it's time to multiply constants together. So as you can see, I have 1 column here and I have 3 rows. So for each intersection, I'm going to place a block. So for one intersection here, I place a block, another here and another here. And I'm done with my multiplication. As you can see, I have managed to form a rectangle. If you can see it in the shape of rectangle, right? That says if this is not a rectangle, as you can see here, there is a gap here. You can assume that your multiplication is not complete yet. When you multiply all the terms, you can see that it will form a kind of virtual rectangle, which is a way of knowing that your multiplication is complete, and now it is time to count your flats, rods and blocks. So let's see how many flats we are left with, or we got at the end of multiplication. So as you can see, I have got one flat and 1, 2, 3, 4 rods and 1, 2, 3, 3 blocks. 3 blocks. Now how I can form an algebraic expression for this? By simply replacing the values. As you can see, the value of one flat, we have assumed it to be x square. So since there is only one flat, I will simply write x square or 1x square or x square. For 4 rods, since each value of each rod is x, so value of 4 rods together will be 4x. And the value of each block, because blocks are constant, will be 3. Now I have all my terms together and I'm going to simply put them together. So my final expression is x square plus 4x plus 3. Now if you try to multiply these two expressions on the paper, as you can see, this is exactly what we have done here visually. If I see x square and x plus 3 and x plus 1, if I have to multiply, first I multiplied x and x together, that got me x square. Then I multiplied x with 3, x with 3, that gave me 3x, 3x, so x square plus 3x plus, then I multiplied this x with 1, this x with 1, that gave me x, just the x plus x, and then I multiplied my constants together, 1, 2, 3, and this one constant. So 3 times 1, I multiply my constants together and I end up with 3, which gives me the same expression again, x square plus 4x plus 3. And that's how we can understand how we can multiply two algebraic terms together. I must note, I must update you here that base 10 blocks or Linus blocks is not a very effective way to do the multiplication of two algebraic terms. Why? Because what if instead of x plus 1 I do x minus 1? Then how do I express the minus terms? How do I know if I have to put a plus sign here or minus sign here? So my base 10 blocks have that, they have a limitation there. So there are other, there is other mathematical tool called Algebric Tiles, which we will talk about in the next video, and which will help us multiply even two negative terms in an effective way, and we can see how that can be done. Till then, I would suggest that do try to multiply two positive algebraic terms or expressions together using base 10 blocks, and happy exploring.